always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Well, it sure is, and I'm glad to see you here as we kick off a brand new day, a beautiful Wednesday, live from the shadow of Detroit here in the heartland of America. Fighting for you every single day from the foxhole of freedom. Makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? It's an important question. Here are the three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Marjorie Taylor Greene, once a reliable supporter of President Trump, now says he is losing support. The problem is polling numbers from reliable polls don't support her claim, not completely. Number two, in a shocking twist after years of selling climate change snake oil, Bill Gates now says it will not be the downfall of humanity. No kidding. But poverty, disease, and hunger will be if we don't address those things. Gee, it sounds like he's been listening to the program. And number three, Democrats, the ultimate hypocrites, known for their fake moral grandstanding and outrage while accepting whatever kind of moral rot in their own party they can think of that'll get them across the finish line. They don't care. And the hypocrisy has never been more blatant or clear than this week. Let me introduce you to Graham Plattner, the Democrat running to oust Senator Susan Collins in Maine. He's a Democrat. He's in the primary. He hasn't won yet, but he has sold himself as your typical blue-collar worker. A former Marine, an oyster man who looks like he'd enjoy cracking open a cold one at your weekend bonfire. His internet activity paints a more radical and divisive picture. On Reddit forums, he's called himself a communist, embraced political violence, labeled all cops bastards, and broadly described white people as racist and stupid from a white guy. So not your typical blue-collar man, and definitely a representation of the worst the Democrat Party has to offer, the very worst. But that's not what he's making headlines for, not at all. It's for his tattoo. For his tattoo, a skull and crossbones image splayed across his chest that represents the Nazi SS. That's right, Nazi SS. This man has had a Nazi symbol the size of my fist or bigger on his chest for the last 18 years. He says he had no idea what it meant. Of course. So, of course, the Democrat Party kicked him right to the street, right? Get out of here, Nazi, fascist. Of course, they screamed until they were blue in the face about the danger of flirting with racism and fascism. Of course, there's no room for the Nazis in their party, right? Wrong. Wrong. They're not even blinking. They're defending Plattner to the death, just completely accepting his alleged confusion about a Nazi tattoo on his chest at face value. Bernie Sanders responded that, quote, hey, we all have dark days in our past. Really, Bernie, do you have an SS tattoo? Are you kidding me? Let's compare Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. His response to Elon Musk's heart goes out to you gesture. Remember that? He waved to the crowd. To his response to Plattner's openly Nazi tattoo. Get a load of this.
What you saw is what you think you saw. Elon Musk did the Heil Hitler salute. He did. And what you were talking about is maybe the most dangerous moment in modern American political history, whereas there is a sense of endorsement from Elon Musk and a sense of entitlement and immunity given to people who are contemplating acts of violence against politicians, but specifically Democrats. And so all of our lives got put in jeopardy by what Elon Musk did on Monday night and what Donald Trump did the next day with those pardons.
He sounds like a human being to me, a human being who made mistakes, recognizes them, and is very open about it. But yeah, certainly, I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking to him about it. He's obviously, right now performing very well in the polls in Maine. He's talking a language that speaks to a lot of middle-class voters, a lot of Trump voters that, frankly, are looking for Democrats that understand working-class concerns.
Can you possibly be? Elon Musk doing this and waving to the crowd is the most dangerous moment in American political history. A guy with an actual Nazi tattoo on his chest for almost 2 decades, knowing exactly what it is. Oh, he's just a human being. Gosh, I have no idea what could have gone wrong there. Remarkable, isn't it? How do these people sleep at night, knowing they're willing to sell out on just about anything for the sake of politics. They'll even forgive a guy sporting a giant Nazi tattoo. Scott Jennings calls out the Democrats for exactly who they are on CNN, and CNN cannot stand it. Listen.
But at this point, if he moves forward, Democrats aren't winning the seat.
I hate to break the news to you, but he's winning the primary by 30 points.
Well, I think that's why he needs to get out.
Getting a Nazi tattoo made him more popular.
I don't think it made him more popular
among Democrats. You've got a guy running for attorney general in Virginia who wants to murder Republicans, and he raised $500,000 off of it. You got Nazi tattoo guy in Maine. I sat out here for a year, 2 years, listening to every Democrat at this table say, Donald Trump's a Nazi, Elon's a Nazi, and your party is now in love with a guy with a Nazi tattoo who trained a left-wing paramilitary group and called himself an Antifa super soldier on the internet, and he's going up every day. Good luck getting him out. I am but a humble political analyst, and I will just tell you that when you're winning a race by 30 points, if a pundit on television tells you, well, you need to think about dropping out, you laugh in their face.
I don't know. This is a year out.
I feel like
Democrats, I want Democrats to be who they are. This is who they are.
This is not who
who they are.
No, it is not.
This is who they are. It's like the left doesn't realize the internet exists, that we can very easily call them out on their blatant double standards and lies like Chris Murphy. Nicole Wallace and J.B. Pritzker think they can say with a straight face that Democrats have never I can't even say it with a straight face. The Democrats have never compared Donald Trump to Hitler. They're trying to rewrite history to cover up their hypocrisy and their worst lies. I'm not going to let them. Roll the tape.
I haven't suggested that Donald Trump is Hitler. I wouldn't say
I don't
that.
think any Democrat has. I actually...
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews.
How can you possibly compare what happened in Germany in World War II to what's going on here in the United States?
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934. And we're seeing today that you've got an administration in Washington that's ignoring court orders.
And this rogue Department of Justice going out to do the bidding of this Timu Hitler. I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things. But this wannabe Hitler, for sure.
Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939 that neo-Nazis, fascists in America.
Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there.
Give me a break. These people are out of their minds. They're openly supporting a guy with a Nazi tattoo emblazoned on his chest. Of course, the day after he was called out on the 22nd of October when he was busted with a tattoo, the next day he tattooed over it. Yeah. Tattoo guy in Maine, Graham Plattner, hero of the Democrats, ordinary guy, made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump actually going to be marching you into the gas chambers before the end of the day. These people are literally insane. I'll take a break and be right back. It is The Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to the Democrats. I mean, their blatant dishonesty. I mean, it is mind-boggling. It really is. You want to defend a man with a Nazi tattoo because he says, oops, oh, gosh, I had no idea I had this Nazi tattoo all over my chest for 20 years. Okay, fine. But don't think for a second you're going to get away with it after calling conservatives fascists for the last decade, not because we had Nazi tattoos, but because we stood for personal freedom and America first, and because we are proud to be Bible-believing Christians. They will sow fear and division like it's their damn job, but when it comes to holding themselves or their party to the same standard, forget about it. Of course, this is something Barack Obama has given a master class in. Barack Obama single-handedly destroyed half the country's capacity to listen to reason with his fixation, and yes, it was a fixation on race. The content of a person's character, who cares? It's the color of their skin that matters and nothing more, until it doesn't serve his purposes. Democrat Abigail Spanberger is a white liberal woman running to be Virginia's next governor. She wants to make Virginia a sanctuary state, wants men and women's sports, and has defended the Democrat Attorney General nominee who fantasized in text messages about killing political opponents and their children, shooting them. Which maybe isn't that surprising, since it was one of her own staffers who said Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. The bottom line, she's a Democrat through and through, and Barack Obama is campaigning for her over her opponent, an actual black woman from Jamaica, a legal immigrant who's fought every step of the way to build her own American dream, wants others to have the same opportunity to do so, is a military veteran, that's right. Winsome Earl Sears is a success story. Like I said, she came from Jamaica when she was 6, attained higher education, served as an electrician in the United States Marine Corps, directed a Salvation Army homeless shelter, and became Virginia's first female lieutenant governor and the first woman of color elected statewide. She's everything Democrats claim to support. A woman of color, an immigrant, very well educated, compassionate. But she's in the wrong party. She doesn't think right. So Barack Obama is campaigning openly against her, and this voter rips Obama a new one for being a lying rat about race. Here it is.
Now, y'all help me make this make sense. Last year, I saw Obama chastise black men saying, y'all not supporting this Indian woman. Remember Kamala, who wasn't black, is not black. Is not. Okay? She's Hindu. She's Indian. But I watched Obama sit there and chastise black men saying, y'all don't want to support this woman. But at the same time, turn around. Go to Virginia and campaign against a real natural black woman. Y'all, listen, this let me know one thing. This ain't got nothing to do with color. This ain't got nothing to do with color. It's either God's side or Satan's side. God's side or Satan's side. Nothing to do with color.
Nothing to do with color. That's what we're all about, but Obama has tried to make it all about color. We're not going to let him forget that, or his colleagues. And it's not just him. The NAACP is the oldest civil rights organization in the country. The acronym stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So you'd think they'd want Winsome Sears to advance in this election, right? Wrong again. The organization has officially endorsed a white liberal woman for governor in Virginia. That's right, and this man, well, he's not having it either.
So the NAACP is endorsing the liberal white woman in Virginia over the conservative Christian faith-filled black woman in Virginia for candidate. The NAACP needs to be disbanded. This is an organization that I have no respect for, that at one time did so much for the African American experience in this country, has now become a laughingstock and a joke, has become an organization with no morals, no values, and doesn't represent the civil rights movement that were led by mostly a lot of Christian ministers. It has become a Marxist organization that endorses transgenderism, that destroys the black community, that endorses everything demonic and evil about that's toxic about the black community.
Yeah. I suspect I'll be saying the exact same thing again when Barack Obama campaigns against Jennifer Ruth Green, another black woman and combat veteran who just launched her bid to flip a House seat in Indiana. Look at these strong, successful black women running as Republicans. Democrats only need to pick up 3 seats to win back control of the House next year. We'll watch them throw every moral qualm and issue of race out the window if it means they can claw back power. They don't care about race. They don't care about women. But I won't let them forget just how hypocritical they are. Democrats will defend Nazi tattoos, embrace communists, and betray black women in power. They scream fascist at freedom while excusing real rot. America sees through the lies. Hold them accountable. Vote truth. Reject that moral depravity. Reject the rot. Did you know scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? The FBI calls it house stealing. It's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on a document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee, file it with your local county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity as collateral or even sell the property behind your back, and you won't even know it until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices. So let me ask you, when was the last time you actually checked your home's title? If you're like me, the answer was never. It's exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get. Immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property. Urgent alerts if there are any changes. And if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title. No cost. Here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and access your personal title expert, a $250 value. Just sign up now. Go to HometitleLock.com. Use my promo code Gruber250. Click on the link in the description. That's HometitleLock.com. Promo code Gruber250. Get protection and peace of mind you deserve today. And support the people that support this program so I can see you every single day. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back to it. You know, so for those of you that watch the program, you know it was my birthday a couple of days ago, right? You know that. I turned 27 for the 40th time or something, whatever it is. Anyhow, I got this interesting gift, and I was going to share with you folks this interesting gift. It's a piece of concrete, right? My daughter got me this, one of my daughters. I didn't know what to make of it when I opened it up. It's a piece of concrete. It comes with a certificate of authenticity. It's from a wall that was broken down in 1989. And I find it fascinating. It's about the size, maybe a little bigger than a baseball. Anyhow, it's a chunk of the Berlin Wall. Authentic piece. Got some graffiti on it and everything. Right there. Got some graffiti on it, and it's just a piece of concrete from the Berlin Wall. Makes me think about freedom and how that city was divided from 1961 to 1989. Ronald Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Remarkable moment in history, and just a cool gift. It goes in, it's just going to sit here on my desk as a reminder of the fight for freedom is something we have to do every single day. The fight for freedom is something we have to do every single day. Don't give them an inch because they'll take a mile. You know that. I know that. And so this is going to sit here next to the red phone in case of emergency the red phone goes off. Right here next to the red phone will be my chunk of world history. Not just German history, not just American history, world history. So very, very important. All right, it's very important you take care of yourself so you can be here with me every day as well. Ivy went out and did a lot of research on a brand new company, Victory Nutrition International. They make the best vitamins out there. Tired of taking vitamins that don't seem to work? Protovite, a breakthrough liquid formula designed to absorb quickly so your body actually uses it. And when we say multivitamin, I mean it. 100 nutrients, B vitamins, amino acids, zinc, plant extracts. You get daily support for energy, focus, and immune health only from Victory Nutrition International. Nutrition that gets in. Start your mornings right with Protovite. Plus, you'll save 20% using the promo code Gruber today. Check it out. VNI.life/Gruber. There's a QR code for those of you watching on a screen anywhere. VNI.life/Gruber. Promo code Gruber. Save 20% right now. Victory Nutrition International. Vitamins that get in. I'll be right back.
Peace, y'all. This is
Welcome back to the program. We're going to spend some time talking about agriculture because it's incredibly important. The Democrats would have you believe right now that because China's not buying soybeans, it's destroying soybean farmers, but not the ones I talked to, apparently. In fact, soybean prices today at $10.77 are very close to their 52-week high. The 52-week low, December 2024. Donald Trump currently working with Japan and others, exploring biodiesel, finding new outlets and new markets for soybeans. But it's time to protect the American farmer. It really is. And it's an important endeavor because without the American farm, we lose, well, our identity and our ability to feed ourselves. Joe Maxwell is the co-funder of Farm Action, along with his brother Steve. Joe raises hogs, sheep, grain crops on their fourth-generation farm. He knows a thing or two about hard work. Joe, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Great to be on, Steve.
Let me address this first thing with the beans that I mentioned. I've talked to farmers in Arkansas and Michigan and elsewhere. Look, would they like China to buy beans and give them a helping hand? They would. But at the same time, they say they don't want to be beholden to China over this crop or anything else. They want to find new markets. They don't want the whims of the CCP or anybody else to dictate how their fall goes each year. What say you?
Absolutely. I think that for too long we've been overly dependent upon heavy government subsidies, taxpayer bailouts to agriculture, to soybean farmers, commodity farmers, corn, soybeans, wheat, and others. And in that process, we focused on exports to try to raise that price. We've become very reliant upon China. It's not dependable. As it is demonstrated, in May, it decided not to buy any of our beans, and it was the largest purchaser of our beans, about 25% of our total crop in the United States. So yeah, we need to focus differently and put priorities on using the soybeans here at home and also to raise food crops.
Absolutely true. Yeah, again, we're close to the 52-week high for soybean prices. Again, the low was under $9.50. That was back in December of 2024. Joe Biden was in the White House. Today it's at $10.77, very close to the 52-week high. So they're pretty decent. So farmers in the Make America Healthy Again movement are aligned, and they're urging the USDA to support family farms more. Local farming, healthy food, real food, not this pre-boxed nonsense that comes with petrochemicals and God only knows what. We need more real food on our tables, don't we?
We do. The fact is the United States doesn't feed itself. We raise soybeans and corn, feed crops, and fuel crops. We're importing 60% of our vegetables and about a little over a third, 60% of our fruits and about a third of our vegetables. And what we need to do is focus on raising healthy food here in the U.S. that supports America's family farmers in their production of local and regional foods. And so we've joined together, a group of us, MAHA movement. We have over 120 organizations and farmers that have sent a letter to Secretary Rollins, USDA Secretary Rollins, saying, hey, this is the way we can help America's farmers feed America with healthy foods.
You know, I don't think people take it as seriously as they should. Look, when you eat properly, when you eat bread that has 4 ingredients like yeast, salt, water, and flour, it's healthier than something that has a list that's this long. When you buy bacon, it doesn't need to be infused with sugar. When you buy beef, it doesn't need to be infused with other garbage. I mean, I don't know why this has become the trend in America, but we're getting away from it. Give me your impression of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. pushing to get some of these dyes, additives, preservatives, chemicals out of our food.
Spot on. There's no doubt that, and what you said, Steve, is exactly right. Just look at the ingredient list on the back of things you go into the grocery store. This ultra-processed foods provides us with unhealthy chemicals and dyes, as you've mentioned. And we need to reshape how America's food is processed. Once it leaves the farm gate, the farmer's out of control. And so we have to focus on how it's processed. I want to point out, Steve, one thing. In America, what we've done is allowed a handful of corporations, very large multinational corporations, to control our agriculture and our food. You mentioned the soybean farmers. Yeah, they're getting close to a 52-week high, but their input costs are just insane because of these big companies. 2 companies control all the potash in North America. You can go to farmaction.us, agricultural concentration hub, and then think about the handful of companies. We have a graph that shows the illusion of choice. It's the same companies regardless of what the brand on the box of cereal says. And we have to address this.
Clearly, and the other thing that I would suggest is that when you go into the produce department, read labels. I mean, I'm here in Michigan, huge blueberry crop, huge apple crops here in Michigan. And yet, when I go to the store, I see blueberries from Peru and apples from someplace else as well. We need to support American farmers by reading labels, don't we?
Absolutely. Read the labels and then demand local production. We also have to get government, our Congress, to shift the way in which they put a priority on raising feed, livestock feed, and fuel crops. What we're calling on the secretary in the letter is to rethink this. You know, we need to have the same balanced priority to raising blueberries in Michigan as we do soybeans in Iowa. So that's what we're calling a secretary. Rethink the food system. There's a crisis going on right now in agriculture. Bankruptcies are up. It's time to admit this will be the third. They're talking about the third bailout in 12 months for America's farmers. It's time to rethink agriculture and food in the United States and go with what the Secretary Kennedy has been talking about on healthy foods, increase the funding on organics and regenerative agriculture, put money in for conservation that restores soil health, and use government procurement to build that base of local, regional, healthy foods.
Sure. And Joe, one of the other things that your organization is pushing for are healthier meals in schools. And I think this is critical for a couple of reasons. First of all, I want our kids to eat better. I want them to have better nutrition. I want them to have good things, not that whole list of ingredients we don't even know what they are that we talked about, but also to educate children about the farm concept, about eating better, fresh fruit, fresh produce, fresh beef, you know, all across. I mean, we need to educate young people by feeding them well, don't we?
Absolutely. You know, at a young age, they come into that school and they're just fed processed food. What do you think they're going to do when they leave school or as adults? And what are they going to, or what's their parents going to be feeding them at home? The kids are demanding that. And, you know, the real, in our letter to the secretary, we really need to invest back into local, regional purchases of food, farm to table, farm to school type programs. But we also have to recognize many of our schools now are heat and eat, right? This processed food comes in a tray, and you heat and eat. So we also have called on the secretary to think about investing and working with schools to have the ability to cook again, to take.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Yeah, to have the school cook. You know, yeah, look, I like the lunch ladies. Let them cook. They're probably pretty good at it. You know, let them do it. Let them teach the kids, Joe. It's good stuff. I got to leave it there, but I want people to look you up. Joe Maxwell, CSO and co-founder of Farm Action. You can find out what they do at farmaction.us, because fighting for the American farm is important. We have to be able to feed ourselves and feed ourselves with good stuff. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having us on.
Really appreciate it. Look, agriculture is important, and he's right. We don't want to rely on China and their whims as to what we sell and what we don't sell. Use American products in America. What a concept. America first. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, one of the big debates here, scientifically speaking, in the world of health recently has been autism. Where does it come from? Why is its rate increased so dramatically over the last few years? Well, there's a brand new study in my hand here. A landmark report finds vaccination is the dominant risk factor for autism spectrum disorder. Here it is. I need an expert on this. That's why Peter McCullough is here, the Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company. Doctor, nice to see you today. This is breaking news just hitting my desk. This is important. Bobby Kennedy has been run through the ringer for this. People have been made fun of. Anybody that questioned vaccines and said autism has no relationship in any way to vaccines. Here's the study, sir. What do you say?
Steve, I'm the senior author on the study. And, the last time the Institute of Medicine visited this was 2 decades ago. And a lot of information has accumulated now, over 130 studies. The vast majority, 79%, indicate the vaccines, in fact, given in combination, are a risk factor for the development of autism spectrum disorder. This is the most comprehensive analysis ever assembled in history. I don't think it's going to be eclipsed anytime soon. This now, I think, will set the stage for some very critical conversations that have to happen about the childhood vaccine schedule.
All right, so it's not cause and effect. Let's be clear. It's not cause and effect, if this, then this. But there is a relationship. It's something people should take seriously. That's what you're telling me.
That's correct. It's considered a risk factor because it's probably easily half or more of autism, has that dependence. Now, there are other factors: older parents, premature delivery, exposures of drugs in utero. And the ones that really turned up to be the big ones were antipsychotics and anti-seizure drugs, not Tylenol. I think we were given a bit of a misdirection on that press release a month or so ago. It's really heavy-duty drugs during pregnancy that have a relationship. The good news is 12 studies indicate that a child born today who's healthy remains healthier and free of these problems if they take no vaccines.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, the childhood vaccine schedule was a handful when I was born. Now it's a cart full. It's a truckload of vaccines now. I don't know what they're all for, but the fact of the matter is, if you're pregnant, first of all, don't take drugs you don't need. Avoid them. Tylenol or anything else. Just don't take them. If you don't need them, don't do it. Don't put yourself in that position. And for children, it's okay for parents to ask questions, especially when doctors like yourself are on the front lines doing the hard work and the research, right?
Correct. And some vaccines, Steve, are just more appropriate later in life. The best example is hepatitis B shot. Now, I'm a cardiologist. I took it, as I entered my work in the medical field. That's when it should be given, not on the first day of life.
Exactly right. Those people are not at risk of hepatitis B. All right, let's shift gears now. Another problem facing America. I read a study that in 2000, a young man in their 20s had double the testosterone of a young man in their 20s today. How is that possible? What has happened to the world, doctor?
That's an incredible temporal change. Since 1970 to now, Steve, testosterone levels have plummeted across all age groups. And we don't know if it's, hormones in the meat or some type of feminization that's happening to men all over the country. But many are looking for ways to boost testosterone without having to take injections.
Yeah. So what are some of the common signs? Look, I'm older now. I'm not in my 20s. I'm going to admit it here for everybody. I'm not in my 20s. What are some of the common signs, though? You get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. People start to lose their step. What happens? They lose muscle, lose bone. What happens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, losing muscle mass, energy, vitality, reducing libido or interested, in sexual relations. All of these things can happen. And now at the Wellness Company, we've put together a solution. We've picked the top 6 medicinal herbs that have evidence demonstrating in studies that they can boost production of testosterone by the Leydig cells. These are the critical cells in the testes.
So that's incredibly important if you want to remain, strong and active in other ways. I mean, this is the way to get there, and the Wellness Company has addressed that, right? I see the smile on your face, but that's the truth. Men want to remain men, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They want to stay strong and vital. One other thing I saw here recently, ivermectin has been primarily made overseas for years and years. Ivermectin, anybody that knows not my story knows that I took it when I had COVID. It brought me out of it in about 8 hours. People can believe whatever they want. My experience was a personal success story with ivermectin conquering COVID in a very short period of time. Now, the wellness company has created an American version. It's being made in the United States. That's a big deal.
That's right. Wellness Company now has its own pharmacies, will produce its own ivermectin. We're not going to be held captive by, other pharmacies. And it's very, very competitively priced. Patients have to have reasonable indications in the doctor to prescribe it. But now we have control of the drug supply line. And, Trump's been working in Asia recently, Steve, and hopefully some of these conversations have to do with pharmaceutical drug security. And in trade relations, we can't be held captive by, an outside country.
That's right. He's in South Korea today doing more deals in Japan, Malaysia. It's happening all over. And, of course, with President Xi this week as well. A lot happening. If you want an answer for testosterone, if you want American-made ivermectin, if you want the best medical emergency kits on the market, Dr. Peter McCullough is among those putting them together at the Wellness Company. You can find out more at twc.health/Gruber, twc.health/Gruber. Doctor, great information today as always, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. There you have it. Big study. So my point to you would be, why would you take medications you don't need during pregnancy? Why would you give a child vaccines they don't need ever? That's why I like Dr. Peter McCullough. He gets it done. Again, the Wellness Company, my trusted partner in health, twc.health/Gruber. You can get all these, and these kits, by the way, have them on your counter, have them on your shelf. They're so important. When things get tight, you don't want to be caught short. The Wellness Company, twc.health/Gruber. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, I'm going to just return to this conversation for just a moment. I appreciate your concern. I do. I've gotten a number of comments from people on the streams in different places today that the Berlin Wall, of which this is a chunk, I have a letter of authenticity, contained asbestos because a lot of the products came from Russia. And asbestos increased tensile strength, but the majority of the asbestos in the Berlin Wall was in the joint materials. I'm not terribly concerned about whether or not this is going to kill me. In my estimation, socialism, Marxism, communism, the things represented by this wall are far more dangerous than the wall itself. That's what I'm going to, and I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to play with it then. No, Anthony, I'm not going to just do that. At any rate, I think the wall is fine. I think it's a great gift. And yes, I might have some asbestos dust on my hands, but I got asbestos dust on my hands when I redid a rental house a number of years ago too, because the tiles in the kitchen were asbestos tiles, right? So, look, I don't live in fear. I live with the armor of God, all right? I do. And so that's what we're doing here. I'm not too worried about this. And it is a constant reminder that if you let the socialists and the communists and the Marxists run wild, you could find yourself behind a wall. Don't let that happen when it comes to freedom. Don't let them block you out from freedom. Borders are important, but borders that keep you locked in and under the thumb and the boot of a repressive or oppressive government, not okay, all right? That's what we've got there. So thank you for the warning. I do appreciate it. You're looking out for me. But I'm going to go ahead and take that on advisement and leave it sitting right there. I'm not going to lick the thing, all right? Sorry, Anthony. Coming up in the next hour, Cully Stimson will be here from the senior advisor at the Heritage Foundation. They say that they should adopt a California rule to remove biased D.C. Superior Court judges. Well, maybe. But if they do it one way, they'll do it the other way. We'll talk to Cully Stimson about that and so much more coming up. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. Tell your friends. Gather around the campfire early every day here for the fire of truth. It's the Steve Gruber Show. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
It certainly is, and welcome to it as we blow into another big hour here on the program. Glad to have you along for the conversation, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Yeah, who do you want in your foxhole? It's an important question every day because you never know what's going to happen. Here are three big things to discuss this hour. Number one, House Oversight Chair James Comer demanding that AG Pam Bondi nullify all the pardons and executive orders not signed by Joe Biden, but instead signed by the auto pen. There is a big fight brewing on this one. Number two, Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins says George Soros, with all his money, should step up and fund SNAP benefits for those who will soon have nothing to buy food. I'm guessing he won't respond. And number three, if the Democrats think they're winning the argument over the Schumer shutdown, they may want to pay attention to what we're about to talk about and what they're saying over at CNN. Chicken Noodle News. The picture for them, not rosy. What are we, in day 29 now? I lose track. We're on track to be in the longest shutdown in American history. And CNN is reporting the Republicans, believe it or not, are increasing in popularity. There's a bit of a little surge here going on. Here's Harry Etten, jacked up and ready to go.
Political standing. Yeah, you might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, and electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
Well, the brand is improving a little bit, up 5 points. And that's pretty important stuff, isn't it? Pretty important stuff. And look, the Republicans are holding their ground. Democrats denying that they're responsible, even though it takes 60 Senate votes to move past the filibuster. This is Chuck Schumer's shutdown. Chuck Schumer, the guy who said it gets better for them every day. Who they are, I'm not sure. I guess Democrats only. And it's not the Democrats that are coming to the Republican side. It's the independents. As we head toward the midterm elections, boy, is that going to be a big deal. It's the independents that are coming on board with the Republicans. Here's more.
It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents, it's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress. So again, what's the electoral reason that Republicans would give in at this point?
Right, what's the reason? An 8-point bump with independents who get it, who realize it's Chuck Schumer, who's standing in the way blocking the reopening of government. This is such a stupid game. When John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, is the voice of reason for the Democrats, wow. We flipped the world on its head. I was talking to a Democrat friend of mine here. I was on to Esquire Bob, actually, a couple of times this week. And he said, yeah, John Fetterman, the voice of reason, but wouldn't it be nice if he would actually dress like a U.S. senator? This is from a Democrat. I mean, yeah, have some decorum. The hoodie and the shorts and the work boots, the whole I just came out of a redneck bar look. Not sure I'm a big fan of that either, but I am a big fan of John Fetterman saying, look, open government up so we can get back to the conversations. And it is the independents, like I said, that are coming on board with the Republicans, so that's important. Oh, and what about the midterms for Democrats? How are they doing? One last thought. Here it is.
Democrats, how are they positioned right now?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, the generic congressional ballot, which traditionally Democrats have done really well on, and if you look at this point back when Trump was president the first time around, Democrats are up 11 points. Look at where it is now. Democrats are ahead, but they're actually only up 3 points. This is, in fact, the worst position Democrats have been on in a generic ballot at this point in midterm when there was a Republican president in the last 20 years. And this is no different from pre-shutdown. So Republicans aren't losing on this metric either. They become more popular, and they're actually in a pretty good position for them historically when it comes to the generic congressional ballot.
This is a concerning number for Democrats, are you saying,
This is a concerning number for Democrats because it's considerably worse than they traditionally do in midterm elections when there's a Republican president.
Harriet.
Yeah. There you go. Normally they'd be up by double digits. They're up by 3. History tells us if the Democrats are up only by 3 or 4 or 5 points, they do not do particularly well in a midterm election. Those are the numbers, and that's the way it is. So there's your numbers. So keep with this shutdown. Punish people. Take away their food stamps, their SNAP benefits. Don't pay government employees. It's all on the Democrats here. All they have to do is step up and say, here is a clean continuing resolution. Yes, we support it, like they've done 13 times. 14 if you count March. 13 times with Joe Biden, 14 times if you count March. Here we are. Here's a big pivot. I mentioned this in the first hour. I didn't get to it. Bill Gates has pivoted his climate strategy to focus on poverty over carbon emissions, right? He said carbon emissions don't matter very much, but poverty matters. Disease matters. These are things that we should care about. We should deal with them in proportion to the suffering they cause, he said. Although climate change will have consequences for people in poor countries, it will not lead, here's what he said, it will not lead to humanity's demise. No kidding. No kidding, Bill. We've said that for years. It will not lead to humanity's demise. We need to refocus on poverty and preventing disease and hunger, he says. Well, that would be GMOs, Bill. GMOs like corn, beans, wheat, rice. That feeds people. Do you think a kid starving in some poor country on the planet today cares if his rice is GMO or not? No, he doesn't care. He just wants food in his bowl. Well, that's where we are with all of this, that's for sure. And Bill Gates, huge change. Huge change. Every choice we make is an opportunity to stand for freedom, even something as simple as the phone service you use. Here's the truth. Most cell phone providers don't care about you. They just want the money. Patriot Mobile's different. For a dozen years, they've stood with Americans who believe in faith, family, and freedom, contributing millions of dollars to Christian conservative causes. That's why I stand with Patriot Mobile. The best part is Patriot Mobile, you don't have to sacrifice quality or service. You get the best there is because they offer premium access on all 3 major U.S. networks. You'll enjoy the same or better premium coverage as the major carriers. And if you think switching is complicated, it's not. It's really easy. And they have an American-based team to talk to you if you have questions or want to do whatever you want. Switch your phone. Upgrade your phone. Get ready with patriotmobile.com/Gruber. patriotmobile.com/Gruber. Right now, you will get a free month of service. Hard to beat, a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Gruber, or you can call 972-PATRIOT. We've used it for years. Free month of service right now. What are you waiting for? It's the Steve Gruber Show. Here's a remarkable statistic I'm going to share with you now. In Washington, D.C., the Sentencing Commission, their 2024 annual report, 88% of the sentences handed out to criminals were outside the guideline range and were downward in departure, meaning that they were shorter and less severe. 88% of the sentences handed out by D.C. criminal court judges, less than they should be. My next guest, Cully Stimson, is the Deputy Director of the Edwin Meese Center, Manager, National Security Law Program, and Senior Legal Fellow and Senior Advisor to the President at the Heritage Foundation. Welcome back, Cully. Good to have you here. A little shocked by this report. Almost 9 out of 10 suspects that are convicted of criminal crime, activity, get a break. No wonder we have a problem in this country.
Well, we certainly have a problem in D.C., and I used to be an assistant U.S. attorney in D.C., and it was the last place I was a prosecutor. I was a prosecutor in 4 jurisdictions around the country, Steve, and I was appalled when I got there and saw these judges just handing out popcorn and candy for sentences instead of real sentences within the guidelines. And so it's not for lack of prosecutors trying to get normal sentences or even up at the upper end of the guidelines when warranted. It's just that the judges are just reflexively liberal, pro-criminal. And so that's why I wrote this article, because when I got the data, I was like, holy moly, this is pathetic. And the data proves it.
And based on your experience, it's been going on for quite a while. It's not something that just happened in the last couple of years. It's been an ongoing problem, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem, Steve, because D.C. is unique. Thank God it's not a state, but they have this thing called the Judicial Nominating Committee. That is a group of liberals who then pre-select judges for the Superior Court, then hand over to the White House a list of 3 people they can choose from. So instead of every other federal judge who gets selected by the White House, vetted by the White House, nominated by the president, the D.C. liberals hand Republican presidents and Democrat presidents a list of 3 liberals, and that's why the D.C. Superior Court is so liberal.
Yeah. All right, so you have a plan. You think it can be solved if we adopt a California rule of all places to remove these biased, soft-on-crime judges. Tell me how that would work.
Well, the first solution is just put on normal people on the bench, and let's be serious about it. But there's over a dozen openings on the D.C. Superior Court bench now, and so President Trump has the opportunity to ignore the JNC list and just pick normal law and order people and put them on the bench. But for purposes of removing current judges who are on the bench, instead of trying to impeach them, we could just adopt, or Congress could pass and force it on D.C., a rule that California's had for decades, and that is, you've heard of preemptory challenges for jurors. Well, California adopted a preemptory challenge for prosecutors and defense attorneys for Superior Court judges. And so instead of having to file a motion and then laying out page after page how the judge is biased, which happens in D.C. and other states now, California has a simpler rule. You just walk up, go to the courtroom and say, "Judge, I paper you." And the judge is like, "Sayonara, I'm out." And that you get one bite, and the prosecutor gets one bite, the defense gets one bite in the case, and then this presiding judge sends you to another judge down the hallway. But what the effect is, Steve, is that if your office decides that this judge is Mr. Light on sentencing in every single case, you just paper that judge every single time a criminal case comes before her. And the next thing you know, she has to have the come to Jesus talk with the presiding judge, and the judge will be like, "Look, you're going to be over on the civil docket for the rest of your life, or you can start issuing sentences and rulings right down the middle."
Within the guidelines, 88% sounds remarkably high. Well, what would be normal in a court? I mean, obviously, judges have discretion. If they didn't have discretion, you could put a laptop computer there. It wouldn't matter. They could issue the sentences. So there are mitigating factors. There are things that happen, but mitigating factors don't happen 88% of the time, Cully. So what's normal?
And mitigating factors don't result in 1.7% of 5,535 people convicted of carrying a pistol without a license getting a full prison term. I mean, that is not
less than 2%.
Right, less than 2% convicted of carrying a pistol without a license get a prison term.
These people on the left will scream, "We have to have more gun laws." Why have gun laws if you're enforcing less than 2% on those that violate the gun laws, making them serve a sentence that actually means something.
Right. I mean, look, criminals aren't stupid. They know that in D.C., if you're carrying a pistol without a license, even if you get caught, you're most likely going to get probation. 60% of people who get prosecuted in Superior Court for the District of Columbia end up with probation. So they get caught, they have a gun, they probably have a long criminal record, they go into court, they're found guilty or they plead guilty, and they get probation. I mean, that is a pathetic number. So it's not about the guns. It's about a failed criminal justice system that needs to be righted. And this is a little small tool, if adopted, that would move in the right direction.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in D.C., just one quick point. They're currently at a rate, the number of homicides since August the 11th, when Donald Trump brought in the National Guard, is at a level they have not seen since 1963, 18 homicides in 80 days. It's unbelievable, and it's working. So why would the Democrats across this country be opposed to that? Do they not like safe neighborhoods? Do they not like elderly people being able to walk to the store safely? What is it they don't like?
Well, I don't think they like prisons. I mean, that's the reason the prison abolitionist movement is around still. That's why these rogue prosecutors were elected into office. That's why Soros is funding these people, because they believe that prisons are modern-day slave plantations. Their words, not mine. They're not always going to come out and say that outright, but if you read my book on rogue prosecutors, that's exactly what they say, and we quote them. Yeah. And so in D.C., we'll probably have less than 150 homicides this year by the end of the year. That's still 150 too many, but it's far different than under Matt Graves and under the Biden administration, where it peaked out in the 300s.
Yeah. In Chicago, they'll break 400 again. Chicago will lead the country in total homicides again. They don't want any help there. They're doing just fine. Ask them, they'll tell you. Cully, really appreciate you being here as always, bringing common sense to the conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. I'll take a break and be back. It is the Steve Gruber Show. Don't go anywhere. All right, Brooke Rollins, the agricultural secretary, who I know a little bit. Good lady doing good work, looking for the farmers as best she can. And by the way, the soybean impasse, we might get a bit of an update tomorrow. We'll see. But the fact of the matter is right now, they're finding new markets, be it Japan, biodiesel, other places. Are farmers getting rich because of the tariffs? No. But there's a resetting of the global trade, and nobody wants to be beholden to China and its whims. Basically, you do what we say or we're not buying your soybeans. Nobody wants to be there. Not one farmer I've talked to wants to be there. They want alternatives, whether we use the beans here in America for biodiesel, whether we sell it to Japan or South Korea. We need alternative markets, and so we have a variety of places. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's a nice ag term for you. Brooke Rollins, by the way, inviting George Soros to fund the SNAP programs during the shutdown. If George Soros wants to step up and write a $9.2 billion check to keep these benefits moving for the month of November, I'm guessing that would definitely be on the table. Of course, he won't respond. She praised the anonymous donor who gave the Department of Defense $130 million to help pay military people. This Democrat shutdown is hurting a lot of folks. And they all know it. They do. They all know it. If you'd like to save yourself some money, a well-connected geothermal system might be the way to get there. There are subsidies in place right now if you get a geothermal system. This is a well connect. It connects to your existing heating and cooling system. If you have a well in your yard, right, a water well, and you heat with propane or electricity or heating oil, you could be a great match for this system. It will save you a pile of money, because it uses that energy, that continuous energy from the water in the yard. Boy, is it a good system. You can find out more at wellconnectgeo.com. Find out if you're a good match anywhere in the northern United States. And if you're a do-it-yourself person, you can put it in about a day. If you're an HVAC company, they're looking for new contractors all across this country. New York, New England, Michigan, Minnesota, all over. But those subsidies for green energy are going away at the end of the year. Now is the time to get a WellConnect system. WellConnectGeo.com, WellConnectGeo.com, or click the QR code on your screen and go right to them. Find out if you're a good match and if you want to save half on your utilities. Now is the time. I'll be right back. All right. Let's continue the conversation now, shall we, as we dig into the biggest topics of the day, making sure you have the most information to go out there and be, well, the smartest guy on the block, or woman, as it were. Mark Goldwine is the Senior Vice President, Senior Policy Director at the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which I don't know if we've had my entire life. National debt is now at $38 trillion in the middle of this shutdown. What are we, 29 days in? I lose track. My eyes get blurry. I get a headache. Mark, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, so $38 trillion. I think we passed the point of no return some time ago. We're never paying off $38 trillion. We pay $1.2 trillion in interest right now, I think, more than any other single item on the budget, right? It's remarkable. We never learn.
We're never going to pay off the debt, and we may even never get a balanced budget. But here's the thing. We don't have to. All we have to do, and I make it sound easy, all we have to do is get deficits low enough to grow our way out of it. The Secretary of Treasury, Secretary Benson, he has said deficits of 3% of GDP. That would do it. But here's the problem. We're at 6% of GDP. We're headed to 7% of GDP. We are so deep in debt that we are spending $1 trillion just on interest payments. And that is unsustainable. We are in a really bad place.
Yeah. Here it is. $38 trillion in debt. You just said the quiet part out. We're never paying it off. Never paying it off. How do you run a country that's constantly, permanently in debt? People say we're the wealthiest nation in the world. I don't agree with that. I think we're the poorest nation in the world. $38 trillion probably is the debt of dozens of nations added up, isn't it?
Well, we're certainly the most indebted nation in the world, and we are rich in what we produce, and so we can hold the debt. What we can't keep doing is growing the debt, and so the big issue we need to be focusing on is how do we stop adding another $2 trillion a year? If we just
we're
cut
on
that
track.
in half,
We are on track to be $50 trillion in debt in just a few more years. Not very long. I mean, honestly. So what? I have people ask me this, Steve. How come we don't just wipe it clean? Say, we're done. We're not paying any of this. I think because it would turn the world upside down. But people say that. What are they going to do? Come repossess the United States? I hear people say things like that on social media. What are your thoughts? What do you say to that?
Yeah, that doesn't work when you want to take out more debt for the next year, right? So the problem is no one's going to lend us money if we default on our existing debt. And you might say, well, that's fine. We'll just cut the spending. But then why go through the whole default? Because the default is going to melt down the global financial system. We could skip that part and just cut the spending. Would be a lot more sensible.
So that never happens. I mean, we're at COVID spending levels now. And every time, and here we are, perfect example. Obamacare is a failure, as predicted by me and a whole lot of other folks. Never going to work. It was a Ponzi scheme that could not possibly work. It was created for one reason and one reason only. Get us to single-payer health care, which is also a financial disaster, no matter how you slice it, every country that it's in. So here we are with Democrats saying, if you don't support us, they're going to take away your health care. If you don't support us, they're going to take away your Social Security. If you don't support it, and the list goes on. All they do is buy votes with government checks. So we're never going to get out of that cycle, are we?
And look, it's not just politicians. It's the special interest groups that are fundraising off of this. Last week, my organization put out some pretty modest Social Security ideas that would just kind of slow growth a little bit for the top. The AARP came after us the next day. You know why? Because they fundraise off of fear. They fundraise off of scaring people that the benefits are going to go away, when actually doing nothing is the worst thing we can do for our Social Security beneficiaries.
Exactly. So what do we do? I mean, Mark, honestly, what do we do to right this ship? You've got the Democrats holding the government hostage, as far as I'm concerned, by saying you've got to put in another $1.25 trillion into this program, which will, in a couple of years, that'll be blown and that won't work. And we'll be at $40 trillion in debt, and then 45, then 50, and then 100. How do we ever get off this merry-go-round?
Well, Steve, when you're in a hole, the first step is to stop digging, right?
Yeah,
so
well.
first we got to stop making things worse. Then we got to start digging ourselves out. And I would start with the major trust funds. Social Security, Medicare, and highways, they're all within 7 years of insolvency. But we know how to fix them. Replace the gas tax with some kind of fees, raise the retirement age gradually, lower healthcare costs by stop paying hospitals more than we pay doctors for the same services. We know the fixes. We can bring in some more revenue. We just got to do it. And we just got to do it now so that seniors have time to plan and adjust. And if we were just to fix those three major trust funds, it would go a long way towards fixing our debt. It wouldn't fix all of it, but it would go a lot of the way.
And you think that could work? I mean,
well, the politics is hard, but you know what else is hard for politics? A 24% across the board cut to Social Security beneficiaries. That's what we face. The law says A typical couple in 2033 is going to see their benefits cut $18,000 without action. And so it's lose-lose for politicians. And my old boss, Al Simpson, used to say, if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, you might as well do.
Yeah, so speaking of Social Security, the solution, I don't like it, but I think the only way you do it is raise the retirement age a month every year for a period of time, because you've got to get it under control. And people are going to hate this, but means testing. But I paid into it. I get my money back. Well, otherwise the whole place goes upside down. And I don't like means testing either. I don't think there are any good answers here for a lot of this stuff. That's the problem, because people are going to scream, and they're going to have videos of Republicans pushing grandma off the cliff in her wheelchair again, which we've seen because they're disgusting that way. Look, there are grandparents too. And I didn't put us here. And there are no easy answers. There's no easy off-ramp on this deal, is there?
I mean, that's right. One of the ideas we put out last week is don't means test the benefit, but just say that the very richest seniors get the same cost of living adjustment as the pretty rich seniors. And so if all you do is give the same COLA to the highest echelon of seniors as like the pretty high echelon of seniors, you save a lot of money, and everybody still sees their benefits grow year over year. And yet AARP is going to say you're throwing grandma off the cliff. But guess what? You're helping to actually avoid a 24% cut for grandma, because that's just 7 years away. If grandma's 70 today, she's going to be 77 when Social Security runs out.
Yeah. I appreciate you being here, Mark. We sit here and we talk and we talk and we talk, and yet next year we'll be at 39, then 40. It's a sad place we are, because these politicians are spineless, feckless weasels, I think is the term that comes to mind most. Anyhow, Mark, I appreciate your insights because they're common sense. We need more of that in elected officials. Sir, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it, yeah. They'll never learn. They'll make promises with other people's money all day long. Is what they do. They make promises with other people's money all day long. It's what they do, and it's not their money, and that's why they're having fun playing with house money. It's not real to them. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at My Pure Health. If you want to lose weight and you want to figure out how your metabolism works, how the frequencies work in your body, well, it's all different. My weight loss program would be different than yours. I did My Pure Health back in 2018. Look at me. I feel great. Breakthrough science and technology to uncover why your situation is unique. No shots, by the way. No endless exercise, just real food and a customized protocol. Men lose 35 to 50 pounds in 40 days. Women 25 to 32 pounds. Yes, it works. And if you want to find out, if you're sitting there right now going, Gruber, really? I say, yeah, really. Go to gruberhealth.com. gruberhealth.com. You want to lose weight and keep it off? I trust these folks. Call Missy, gruberhealth.com. I'll be right back. All right, back to it now as we continue on the conversation with, giving you the best information. It's important to me that we cover a wide variety of topics every single day. Makes you more, you're just on top of things, that's all. And we appreciate that. My next guest is Parker Jackson, staff attorney at the Goldwater Institute. Can schools sue parents into silence? Silence! I mean, a lot of these schools and the unions, they don't want parents to say anything. A Wyoming mom faced retaliation by school officials. Goldwater came to her defense. Why? Well, I'm going to let Parker Jackson explain. Parker, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, my friend. I'm glad you're here. The parent accused of stalking because she actually did something crazy. She asked questions. That has no place. Do tell.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Steve. Should be a pretty easy principle to accept that no one should be hauled into court simply for criticizing government officials. And yet that's exactly what happened to Kari Cochran. Kari Cochran is a mom in Rock Springs, Wyoming, which is a little railroad town. And unfortunately, she has endured just some unspeakable tragedy. Her son committed suicide shortly after graduating from high school in the Sweetwater County School District number 1. And he had been the victim of some bullying and some sexual harassment and had some academic issues that resulted from that. And so, as any reasonable parent would do, Kari began asking the school district some tough questions about their Title IX and sexual harassment policies and about grading. After her son passed away, she tried to get the records, her son's academic records from the district, and ran into a brick wall for a while there. And while the records issue was being sorted out, she was standing in her home one day and got a knock at the door, and somebody from the sheriff's office was there and served her with 2 lawsuits from 2 school officials that accused her of stalking for some of the comments that she had made on social media and at school board meetings.
Well, how do you get that? How do you even get that? Stalking.
Yeah. So, like in a lot of states, there's a procedure in place that if people think that they're being stalked, they can file what's called a petition for a stalking order of protection.
Sure, a restraining order. Most people call that a restraining order. I understand. Go ahead.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that in Wyoming doesn't come with any filing fees. So there was no cost at all to these 2 school officials to drag Kari into court and to say that she had harassed them because she had, said some things online that they didn't like. And she had engaged in the comment section and on some Facebook posts with one of the family members that had instigated some of that. And, it's just clearly overreach and an abuse of the legal process. Fortunately, in Kari's case, we were able to get involved and connect her with Cassie Craven, who is a Wyoming attorney and a member of the Goldwater Institute's American Freedom Network of pro bono attorneys. And 2 separate judges in these cases reached the same conclusion and tossed both of the petitions on the grounds that what Kari had done is engaged in protected political speech.
Of course it is. So her son takes his own life. She begins asking questions, asking for school records and so forth. And they try to step on her with the jackbooted thug approach of the government. I mean, that's it. You can't fight City Hall. Well, sometimes you have to, Parker. Sometimes
that's
you have
right.
to.
And it's even worse than that because Kari still has a daughter in the school district. And these petitions would have barred her from attending any school board meetings or school events that either the assistant superintendent, the superintendent, or his wife were present at. And so these petitions, had they been granted, would have effectively turned these school officials into roaming censors. And so wherever they didn't want Kari to be or to speak, all they would have had to do is show up, and she would have had to leave under the terms of those restraining orders. And that would have been completely inappropriate.
So they tried to sue her back, right? The superintendent filed the first deal. And a second judge, a separate case here, brought by the superintendent's wife, also didn't go well. This is Wyoming. This is Wyoming, for God's sake. All right.
It is Wyoming. It's one of the more conservative states in the country, as you know. But unfortunately, what we've seen is that school districts all over the country, in both red states and blue states, are overreaching to silence parents, to hide information from them, and even to try and ban them from school property. Just last week, the Eighth Circuit handed down an opinion in a similar case where the superintendent allegedly colluded with a parent's employer to censor her speech, ultimately to have her fired. The Goldwater Institute is currently representing another mom in Indiana. She was barred from school grounds from recording a meeting with the principal about her daughter. And we've been involved in similar cases from Arizona to Maine and, at least half a dozen states in between. We're going to keep sticking up for parents in these situations because these are really abuses of the legal process. And it just goes to show why it's really important to not only stand up for your First Amendment rights, but most states, and Wyoming's included in this, have broader speech protections in their state constitutions. And the first judge in his written order went out of his way to cite both the First Amendment and the analogous provision of the Wyoming Constitution when he dismissed those cases.
Yeah, good for him. I appreciate you guys stepping in because a lot of these folks, look, they don't have the resources. This happens all the time where people just get bulldozed, steamrolled because they don't have the resources. You've got a school district, a town, a city, whatever. And they just run over these people because they can't defend themselves against the unlimited assets of the government. In this case, you did the right thing. You got the right result. Really appreciate it, Parker. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it.
Come back anytime. Bring me the next interesting case, would you? Good. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have sports with Brock. And then in the next hour, Ron Rademacher's going to be here. It's fall. He's a travel writer, author, speaker, storyteller. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up in the next hour here on The Steve Gruber Show. All right, time to check in on Brock Palmbush now with sports.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The Toronto Blue Jays evened up the World Series at 2 games apiece after winning Game 4 over the Los Angeles Dodgers last night, 6-2 at Dodger Stadium. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. homered as part of a 2-for-4 night for the Jays. Starting pitcher Shane Bieber went 5 1/3 innings to get the win. Game 5 set for tonight in Los Angeles. 5 games in the NBA last night. Winners were Philadelphia, Miami, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, and Golden State. In the NHL, all 32 teams were in action, 16 games on the schedule. Winners included Philadelphia, Toronto, Vegas, and Winnipeg. And in college football, there were 2 games. Kennesaw State beat UTEP 33-20 to become bowl eligible at 6-2, and James Madison blew out Texas State on the road 52-20. Alonzo Barnett Jr. threw for 264 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Dukes. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, so Game 6 will be back in Toronto. How long has it been since the Canadian team won the World Series?
Toronto, 1993. That was the second of back-to-back years. And game 5 tonight, Game 6 is Saturday. And that's guaranteed now with the series tied 2-2.
I mean, shouldn't the Dodgers what happened to Ohtani last night?
What happened to Ohtani?
Yeah.
Well, he went 6 innings, and after saying that they wouldn't pitch to him, he went, 0 for 3 with a walk. He struck out twice.
So he's human some days.
Yes, he is human some days. Been a good series so far, and maybe, hopefully for baseball's sake, the best is yet to come, because there's at least 2 games left and maybe 3.
Wouldn't a Game 7 be nice? And that'd be in L.A. though, right?
Nope, that's in Toronto.
Oh.
This is a 2-3-2 setup. This is the last game in Los Angeles tonight. Game 6 is in Toronto Friday. Game 7 would be in Toronto Saturday night.
You know, the whole nation will go crazy. If
in Canada, yes.
Yeah. The whole nation will go nuts. Now, so does the president invite the winner of the World Series if they're a Canadian team?
I don't think so.
That's a good question, Brock.
I don't think so.
We need a little tour down memory lane all the way back to 1993 to find out. Anyhow, that was Bill Clinton. Maybe he did. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll take a break and be right back. All right? something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. And welcome to another big hour here of the program. We just lit the fuse. We're going to blow it right out of the water like a cartel drug boat. Yeah. By the way, the cartels are going to be damaged badly. Here are three big things you need to know this hour as we fight for you from the foxhole of freedom. Number one, the war on drugs, not targeting Mexican labs, but targeting those boats shipping drugs. It could cause the cartels to collapse. Number two, Michigan goes all in on a crackdown on illegal online casinos. Yeah, you can't do that. And number three, here's a story you want to hear. Here's a story, well, maybe you don't want to hear, but you're going to hear it. Death threats, slurs, insults. Meeting the kids in Royal Oak School District that support Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. This is how vile you feel. It's not a reflection of the students necessarily, but a reflection of their parents for sure. Students who started an Instagram page promoting a chapter of Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA at Royal Oak Schools. Hello, Royal Oak, Michigan. I'm talking to you today. They were bombarded with profanities and comments, including a death threat, being lynched, and being accused of being white supremacists and terrorists. State Senator Eric Nesbitt, who's running for governor, posted screenshots on Facebook of some of the comments, the disturbing comments made on an Instagram page. Nesbitt's office said the students' Turning Point USA Instagram page has since been taken down because it was flooded with false policy violation reports. False policy violation reports. Freedom of speech under attack. That's what you do with these little maggots. They go crazy, get them all agitated. This is how nice little fascists are raised. Turn them against anybody who doesn't agree with exactly what you're allowed to agree with. If they don't say exactly what they're allowed to say. Royal Oak, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. The parents in Royal Oak ought to be ashamed of themselves. One Instagram account posted, you're going to get kirked tomorrow. Oh, I see. Another Instagram account stated, Alpha Walk outlet just lynched this. Then there's a slur, bro. Many of the critics with Instagram accounts had accounts that identified them by name. It's super cool that a white supremacist, an anti-LGBTQ organization, is going to launch at my black daughter's school, said one Royal Oak parent. I always knew that moving her to a high AMI predominantly white community would be dangerous, but I didn't think it would be this. I sincerely hope the school reconsiders allowing this terrorism in schools. Terrorism. Now Charlie Kirk's a terrorist. What is wrong with these people? Charlie Kirk's a terrorist now. Many of the comments were from people. By the way, you can get this whole story. Share it with your friends. Share it everywhere. It comes from MichiganNewsSource.com. MichiganNewsSource.com is where this comes from. And it's disturbing, to say the least. As a Royal Oak High School parent, this is disgraceful. I'm not sending my kids to a school to learn hate. Oh, so hate is anything you don't agree with. Hate is any conversation. I defy anyone to show me Charlie Kirk spreading hate. Post the videos. Send them to me. I've got an email. Go to stevegruber.com. Send them to me. We know what they stand for, and so we have to shut it down before they start to bring people to speak at these events. We can't have people having free speech. We will not stand for free speech in Royal Oak. Nesbitt, running for governor, blamed the Royal Oak School District for creating an atmosphere that allowed such comments. I agree. I agree with Eric Nesbitt on this. The fact that students feel so comfortable threatening death threats, threatening and harassing their peers simply for having different opinions is a damning indictment of the educational environment Royal Oak Schools has created. It's time to get the woke mentality out of our classrooms. Amen and amen. This open hostility toward conservative thought in our public schools is unacceptable. The leadership of Royal Oak Schools must be held accountable for allowing an environment where students feel so emboldened to harass and threaten their peers over political opinions, said Nesbitt. It is utterly disgraceful that grown adults, including parents allegedly, have become so consumed with political rage that they are harassing minors, encouraging the harassment of their own kids' classmates. It's disgusting. Royal Oak Schools had a statement after Michigan News Source reached out for comment. Here's what they sent back. We are aware of the statement issued by Michigan State Senate Minority Leader Eric Nesbitt, as well as the images he shared online. Royal Oak Schools takes the safety of our students seriously. However, we cannot regulate the free speech rights of students. Yes, you can. Schools do it every single day. That's dishonest. Neither our students nor staff have reported any incidents to the administration of violence of any sort, but we will continue to monitor the situation and remain committed to maintaining a safe, inclusive, and productive learning environment for every student. Should any student engage in conduct inconsistent with the mission of Royal Oak Schools as outlined in the Student Code of Conduct and applicable Board of Education policy guidelines, the district will take appropriate action in accordance with those guidelines. What a pass the ball, dodge the question kind of crap is that? Royal Oak, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about this? Students threatening you. You'll get kirked tomorrow. Really? I think Turning Point USA ought to come plant a big fat flag right there at Royal Oak. Yeah, a big fat flag right there, Royal Oak. Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, terrorist, Charlie Kirk, please. It's inconceivable to me that in this day and age we would allow, and for the school to say they have free speech rights, we can't do anything about it. That's simply not true. It's simply not true. They can, if you wear inappropriate clothing, if you wear things that are aggressive or hostile, Supreme Court has held that schools have the right to keep their schools, without distraction at some point. Now, it's a judgment call. And in this case, Royal Oak has deferred judgment altogether. It's an embarrassing, from what I read here, it's embarrassing. Again, you can find out more at MichiganNewsSource.com, MichiganNewsSource.com. This part of the program brought to you by PuroVet. It's part of PuroClean. PuroClean is a nationwide reclamation company that I'm using after the fire that I had at a rental house here a year ago. Boy, have they been terrific. PuroClean has been the best reclamation company ever. If you have a problem with mold, floods, fire, whatever it might be, PuroClean the place to be. But if you're a veteran and you want to start your own franchise, man, they're going to give you some help. They're going to waive fees, push you to the front of the line, get you set up. There are more than 500 franchise outlets right now, and you can be part of this growing team. Go to purovet.com, purovet.com, or you can call 855-PUROVET. Veterans, right to the front of the line. We'll get you right in there right now. It's a pretty good program, and it's a great company. You're going to be really happy about it. I'll take a break. When I come back, Ron Rademacher will be here, all right? Don't go anywhere. All right, let's get into it. It's fall time. We had the Barkham kids in here yesterday from Barkham Creek Farms. Bob Barkham sent, Bob didn't want to be on TV. I get it. But the kids showed up with piles of donuts. Anthony's been eating donut after donut, swilling down cider. It's been an embarrassing sound coming from the control room for days now. Anyhow, Ron Rademacher's with me. He knows a thing, too, about swilling down cider and chomping on donuts. Here he is. Hey, Ron.
Anthony. Okay, well, hold on. There were about 50 donuts when I left here yesterday. I come in this morning. There's like 2 left.
Yeah.
Steve Waltz.
Donuts? They brought 50 donuts?
They did. They brought like a case and then like 20 gallons of cider. It was great. Yeah, they were here yesterday.
And there's no shame in it because they're so good. It's just
so
unreal.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Loved it. Anyhow. What's up, Ron?
Well, a couple of things here I want to talk about before we get into where to go and things to do. We got a listener shout out. Tom DeBosny sent me an email wanting to know about where the speeder cars are. And that's, of course, up in Kalkaska. And I just want to thank him. We communicated by email. And, I really like it when listeners reach out and let me know, hey, this wasn't clear, that wasn't clear. What were you talking about? I can't remember. So thanks a lot, Tom. And I look forward to hearing from you again. And then the other thing.
Speeder cars,
Steve,
all right.
You guys were talking about, I've got a note here. You were talking in a previous segment, something about someplace they were giving out shortened sentences. The court was handing shortened sentences.
Yeah. Do you need your sentence shorter? You can go to Washington, D.C. 88% of the sentences are significantly less than the guidelines or recommendations.
See, now when I hear a story like that, it makes me want to get down on my knees and thank my maker for my white privilege. Because there's not a single one of my sentences that's ever been shortened. I got the full Monty every time. I mean, you get your sentence shortened, Steve, it hurts your creds out on the trail, man.
Well, right. Your street cred gets all beat up.
They're doing these guys a disservice by not, if they do the crime, let the guy do the time. He's earned it. So I just was.
I've earned it. Hey, no donuts in jail, pal. Just saying.
No, you don't get Barkham cider in there, baby.
No, you don't. Anyhow. What's up?
Hey, listen, you wanted to know about pumpkin launchers. I did a search around. I can't find a whole lot of them, but Andy T's in St. John's always has their pumpkin chunkers, and they got a big slingshot up there. Where you can launch pumpkins, Steve. So that's not that far from your southern compound. You could run up there. And I know you know where Uncle John's is. You can go up there and get some cider, too.
Well, yeah, but why would I do that when I've got, and I love Uncle John's, don't get me wrong, but I've got, I've got it right here.
Yeah. If you can keep Anthony out of it, you'll be all right for the season.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we got a lot of cool stuff going on around the state. If you want to go to hell and back, they got a battle going on down there, Paintball Survivors. That's how they're going to celebrate Halloween, as you can get suited up and get into the paintball battle for the supremacy over Hogwarts. And you can join any one of the 4 houses. I don't know which one's your favorite. Let's see, what are they? Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and Hufflepuff. Probably be where I'd end up.
Yeah.
So that's going on down in hell.
So go to hell.
If you're looking for a color tour, you might look at Muskegon. Now, I'll tell you, you were talking last week about how there's such differences where they had a lot of rain and where they had no rain. And I drove through Oceana County yesterday. Its colors are gorgeous there, and they're gorgeous down by Muskegon, where this color tour is. But I drove up 37 to go to the Dublin General Store to pick up some jerky. And when you get off 37 and head over toward Tippy Dam, those back roads, all the trees are just brown. There's no color at all. All the oak trees,
Really?
the maple trees, there's almost no color. They're just dead leaves. It's weird.
It's the drought. I told you that. It's the drought. It is.
Yeah, it's the drought.
Mm-hmm.
But they have, if you want to go on a color tour and you can't get up north, southern Michigan is peaking right now, and the drive from the South Pierhead Light in Muskegon up to the White River Light Station in Montague, it goes right along the lake. Beautiful. The colors are peaking right now. You got a chance to get out there and do it. We are getting some frost, so you might want to get it in while you can.
Right.
And We know it's one of your favorites. Say, I enjoyed the commercials. I hope you posted them. Erebus Haunted Attraction.
I did not,
continues.
but I did find them. I found these Erebus commercials. 20 years old.
They're terrific.
Yeah.
They're terrific.
My daughter went down there, I don't know, a couple years ago. She goes, Dad, you're all over the big screens. I'm like, really? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know
good.
if my signal's getting out.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Good stuff. Had fun doing that a long time ago. Mm-hmm.
Now, some people for Halloween, I'm not big on cemeteries. I have been through a couple of them just to see what the things that are coming in the future. But a lot of people do like the spooky cemeteries, and the Holland Museum is a great museum complex. They have several museums down there in Holland, and they've got their spooky cemetery tour coming up October 31st. If you're going, it all takes place outdoors, so make sure that you check the weather, because it could be nasty out there. Sometimes we have snow on Halloween, Steve.
Well, lots of times. We had a big white Halloween here just a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. I mean, we got a pile. It happens.
And it could happen again. We're not out of it yet. We got 2 days.
And we've had two white Thanksgivings in the last 5 years or 4. I mean, big, heavy white, which is not normal,
And then no
much
white
like
Christmas.
you.
Well, got to have a little variety. Speaking of variety, a couple of not Halloween events that are going on. Ann Arbor's having their stamp show in Bourse. So I know there's still a lot of stamp collectors out there. This is one of the largest. I think it's the largest one.
All right, hold on. Yeah, we all this talk about Erebus commercials and Donut Delight and all that from Barkham Creek. Right now, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and wrap it up with Ron Rademacher from MichiganBackroads.com in a moment. Sit tight, Ronnie.
I will sit tight.
All right, so let's wrap it up with Ron Rademacher, travel writer, author, speaker, storyteller, and a guy who holds the record for getting lost in Michigan more than anybody else. All right, non-Halloween events. We were in Ann Arbor for the stamp show in Bourse. Right?
Yes, in Ann Arbor. So, this is a big one. I mean, there are going to be dealers there from 11 states. They're going to have an auction. So if you want to get down there and buy your MAGA stamp or your Trump stamp, any of those stamps, and if you got a stamp that, like you have, I hear you talk about coins. If you've got stamps laying around from way back in the day, take them down there. They will give you a free assessment of the value of your stamp. And the one item I really want and looking forward to, and I hope I can get down there, this goes from October 31st to November 4th, is the Da Vinci exhibit at the Henry Ford Museum. And, I'm a big Leonardo da Vinci fan. I've got a couple of the books that they really show all his drawings. And they have had some guys get together and take these drawings and build working models of his helicopter and his parachute and some I don't know if any of the war machines, but it's going to go on for 4 days. Should be absolutely terrific.
There you go.
Down there.
Very cool. And one more, Norton Shores, right? Is that what you said? Bob the
Oh,
Turtle?
yeah, the World Tour. I forgot about the World Tour. Sure, that Norton Shores will be at the Mona Shores, the high school there for the craft show on Saturday. Me, Bob the Turtle, Helga may come by. So come by and say hello, and we'll get a selfie with Bob
What
the
about
Turtle.
Long Haul Vanderbilt? Will he be there?
Long Haul's in the blind, man. It's finally getting cold enough to hang deer. He is in the blind.
I was in the blind last night. They were all wandering around. I said, you look at them and go, do I feel like getting, I just don't feel like doing it right now. I let them walk. I'm like, yeah. Anyhow.
Steve, we're starting to worry about you. I'm worried about you, man. It's
How many can you take in a year? MichiganBackroads.com, MichiganBackroads.com, MichiganBackroads.com. With Ron Rademacher, you can get your little festive stuff right here. Don't forget about Erebus. You'll get to see me on the big screen if you're lucky. All right. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. We can ask Ivy about how many you can take in a season. I guess she'd know.
She would know. Yeah. But how many? It's get dirty all the time. Anyhow, thank you, Ron. Congressman Jimmy Petronas on the way. I'll be right back. All right, back to it now as we continue the conversation. I've been watching the hurricane season. I do this every year because I'm curious, like the 10-day forecasted weather, which I think if you ran a graph of that, it'd almost always be wrong. The hurricane season been quite quiet so far, at least for the United States. Congressman Jimmy Petronas is joining me, a Republican from Florida. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so just real quickly, I mean, Florida usually gets the brunt of the hurricane season. I'm sorry, but the climate change fearmongers, they've got to be disappointed this year. There's not much happening in Florida, thankfully. I mean, when you get hit, and it's always a mess and it's always painful. But hurricanes have been less frequent over the last 20 years than the 20 years before that, that's for sure. What have you seen this year?
So, look, out in Colorado, they always do the prediction models of how many hurricanes they're going to have. And they go and create some news and stir the pot and get everybody all spun up. And I'm convinced that, you know, because it comes from a university. I don't know if it's Colorado State University of Colorado, someplace I'm never going to go to. But they send up these prediction models, and they always create about a week's worth of news with it. I'm convinced the reinsurance companies bankroll this university just so they can use a credible sounding, educated title to say it's going to be a crazy hurricane season, just so they can have an argument to get 1 or 2 more percentage points when it comes to forcing, you know, the industry to borrow money from reinsurers. So, you know, yeah, I'm a big believer that there's a lot of speculation, but not much science when it comes to hurricane seasons in the Atlantic and in the Gulf.
Huh. You know, and here's what the people are saying, that 3 Cat 5s this year, terribly. 3 Cat 5s that were out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't do anything.
That's right.
And so, whatever. Anyhow, let's talk about the government shutdown. People in Florida, people in Michigan, all points in between, concerned because SNAP benefits aren't going on. I think we ought to be concerned that there are more than 40 million Americans that get SNAP benefits in the first place. That's 15% of the American population. Maybe we have a bigger problem, but for those that really need it, they need it. And so here we are with Chuck Schumer saying, you know, it gets better for us every day. I'm not sure for who. You've got Catherine Clark saying, you know, people will suffer, and that gives us leverage. I mean, it's shameful what they're doing, isn't it?
Well, and this is all about trying to create as much urgency with their base in the elections next week in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York. They cannot afford to have any dip. And if any Democrats, you know, cross the aisle, all of their base that has Trump derangement syndrome will lose their mind and throw their hands up and not vote. So, yeah, they're going to hold hostage the whole, you know, United States military or TSA or air traffic controllers in order to help these elections have a little more of a chance of being successful. But at the same time, you know, how much of their own punishment are they willing to inflict on programs that they care about that ultimately, in my opinion, I got elected to make sure we're more efficient and truly only serve those who truly needed the benefit.
How long is this going to go on, do you think, Congressman? I mean, I see no movement from the Democrats. Apparently, they think that they should run this, my guess is, through the elections coming up Tuesday in Virginia and New Jersey, where they're at risk of losing governor races that should be locks for them. I also saw CNN giving the numbers. Support for Republicans is up 5 points. Overall, up 8 points with independents since this whole thing began, 28, 29 days ago. The numbers are not favoring the Democrats. We'll see how it plays out. What are your thoughts?
I'm 100% lockstep with you. This thing is not going to stop or even get back to negotiating levels until after the election. They're going to be, you know, numbskulls, dig in. And you got to remember back in March when Chuck Schumer brought some of his Democratic colleagues over to do this exact same vote, he got eviscerated. I mean, he even had a book tour planned. He pulled down the whole book tour because of how much blowback he got from his own base. And then you got AOC and Bernie Sanders just licking their chops. So, I mean, it's like no way this is a winning scenario for Chuck Schumer. But
no, I think she runs against him anyway. I don't think it matters.
That's right. That's right.
AOC is going to run for the United States Senate 100%.
He's old and washed up, and she's young and got her base fired up, and then she's got, you know, Grandpa Bernie there in her corner rooting her on, and she's going to own the mayor of New York. So
I thought it was crazy Uncle Bernie, but okay, Grandpa will work. Let me ask you about something. The redistricting going on all over the country. North Carolina's getting in. Virginia said they're going to do it. Indiana's doing it. Missouri's doing it. Obviously, Texas and California. What about Florida? If you did it in Florida, wouldn't you pick up some seats?
Yeah, so in Florida, you would potentially, if you took the last census data, and that's the key issue there. You take the last census data and try to revisit it. This is what you would have to work with in order to draw. We've got what's called fair districts. It's a constitutional amendment in Florida that puts constitutional requirements on how these maps are drawn. So in Florida, we've kind of got our hands tied.
So did California. They didn't care,
yeah.
but go on.
Yeah, but California, it's crazy. California looks like they're going to be successful with Amendment 50 or Proposition 50, which is actually going to repeal a bipartisan commission. But this is just how much strength the Democratic voters, and Obama's been camped out there. You know, that guy needs to go retire. Have you seen his presidential library? Oh, it looks like a prison.
It looks like something dystopian. It's bizarre. And by the way, it's 100%. Wildly underfunded. It'll never be completed on time. It's going to be tremendously over budget if it ever gets done. So it's a typical Democrat project. It makes sense.
Right, 100%.
Let me ask you about this one, redistricting. The other thing that's out there is this huge Supreme Court case that I'm quite convinced from the state of Louisiana that will say you cannot draw congressional districts based on race, which will flip seats in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana. Would that affect any of the districts in Florida if that were the Supreme Court ruling?
Yeah, there's one in Florida that it would affect. So, you know, you can't have this double standard where you want all these constitutional boundaries in place, and then now you've got this court ruling that says, oh, you got to create a minority district. So, anyway, there'll be one seat in Florida that would be in jeopardy down in South Florida.
You know, look, if Democrats didn't have double standards, Congressman, they'd have no standards at all. I mean,
1,000%.
Absolutely true. Look, people are going to get hurt here, certainly after the 1st of November. I hope the Democrats come to their senses and say, look, a clean continuing resolution is how we do this. Obamacare failed. It was designed to fail. It was designed to get us to a single-payer health care system. And so blaming Republicans for the failure of the ACA, which is in effect what they're doing, is a terrible argument. I'll give you the last word.
So Rick Scott's actually pushing a proposal, which, you know, we've got Obamacare subsidy, then you got the enhanced subsidies from COVID. And ultimately, there's a large portion that's just going to go and offset premium or premium profits for the carriers.
Sure.
Rick Scott says, okay, fine, Democrats, if you're so passionate about this, instead of making it a premium subsidy, why don't we just give the money straight to the policyholder? So now you're going to be empowering the policyholder to go take their money to go wherever they go. So, I mean, it would be a hell of a shot to the system, which is way overdue for a course correction.
Amen to that. Put the power in the hands of the purchaser, not mandates from the government. Congressman, great having you here. Nice to speak to you finally. Jimmy Petronas, he represents Florida 1. Beautiful piece of real estate, by the way, sir. Come back anytime.
Will do. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, there you have it. Update from the great free state of Florida. I'll be right back. I rock. All right, back to it now. Look, it's a rock. It's a piece of concrete. I had to go look. Yes, it has asbestos. I'm not having it for dinner, okay? It's a piece of the Berlin Wall that my daughter gave me for my birthday a couple of days ago. I love it. What a cool gift. Came with a certificate of authenticity. Ivy said, I said, did you have something to do with this? She said, no. So she came to me and said, do you think this would be a cool gift? Yeah, it's a cool gift.
It is a cool gift, Steve. Nice job.
Yeah, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And I could also use it as a weapon. So there is that. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning. I mean, I had something to do with it in that I purchased it.
You laid out the cheese.
Right.
Yeah,
and I
enough.
kind of like looked at it and I'm thinking, man, did they create like this fake wall and painted it and then crushed it down and put a plaque? But it actually does come with a certificate of authentication or
authenticity.
Authenticity. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. You a little sore today? You've been working me out like a rented mule, but you know.
I actually feel pretty good.
Good. So do I actually.
Yeah. Got a couple of shots yesterday to help with recovery, so went well.
When in doubt, do drugs, Anthony. That's what she's saying.
So I have a question for you. We're not going to be on the air the next couple days because you and I are taking a little,
a little break.
A little break, which is good.
Yeah, not too long. Thursday, Friday. It's all right.
Yeah.
All right.
And Monday.
Okay.
But
well done.
So favorite Halloween candy? I know the answer, but you can tell the audience.
Well, the favorite Halloween candy that's only around at Halloween is candy corn.
Mm-hmm.
It's just colored sugar. Love it. I don't eat it because I feel guilty because, red number 5 and yellow number 27 or whatever, and, I grow a horn out of my head. Whoop, I don't want that. But, Almond Joy, Butterfinger, Heath, I think those are bad for kids anyway, so they should just give them all to me, and I should store them for the year.
Yeah. So I printed this hilarious how kids judge the Halloween candy given out.
Yeah. What's the worst Halloween candy? That's the real question.
The worst?
Yeah, we always talk about what's the best, what's the worst. I can tell you what the worst is.
Go ahead.
It's like licking kitty litter. It's black licorice. Who would even want to have that?
I don't mind black licorice occasionally.
Black licorice. Hate it.
Hate it. I'm with Brock. That's 2 votes right there. No black licorice ought to be illegal.
I think I would be the party pooper. So the party pooper is you're probably allergic to sugar and happiness.
Wait, Anthony, where are you on black licorice?
No, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Can't stand anise. Isn't that what's in it? Anise, which is kind of close to the word. Never mind. Anyhow,
so the party pooper is you get raisins and an apple and a toothbrush and.
But you know what,
I
Ivy?
do
with your
healthy
focus
candy.
on health, I could see you. Here's a nice apple, young man.
Well, no, actually, I would give out candy. In the past, what we used to do for the neighbor kids is just put together like little, goodie bags, and I would just buy a better version, of the healthier version of candy.
Well, I don't remember what it was called. We were coming back from the northern compound here a couple of weeks ago with our son, who ran into the store. He bought candy that only had 4 grams of sugar. I'm like, really? I tasted it.
It's called
really
Joyride.
good.
It's an influencer online that is trying to make healthier candy, and the product is called, the candy is called Joyride.
That should be you.
Me? I should
Ivy
make a healthy
Delight or something. Should be,
healthy candy?
healthy candy. We'll be rich and famous. And I don't care about
what
being
about
famous.
Tootsie Rolls?
They're okay.
So
I'm with you, Ivy. Tootsie Rolls are fine. Yeah, in small quantities.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they're
according to
okay.
kids, though, if you give away Tootsie Rolls, it's your cheapy McCheapface.
Cheapy McCheapface.
Yeah, if you give away Hubba Bubba, like the
Hubba Bubba Bubble Gum.
Yes, I love that.
I love Hubba Bubba.
And if you give away the little like Dum Dum, I love that
The little
candy.
suckers. I don't know. No. You don't want.
Pops?
You want the Tootsie Roll, the Tootsie Pops. Those are the best. Ivy knows I have a weakness for those.
The trusty provider, though, is if you get Skittles and, Twix and Butterfinger. And if you get, like, the huge bars, then you're the legend. That's how they
Exactly. You get the
now,
big ones.
Now, did you guys, for your children for Halloween, did you have your candy x-rayed just to make sure there weren't foreign objects in there?
No, I did not.
No, we still go through the candy.
We look at it,
look
but,
at it, make sure it's not not open.
I think those are
unopened.
horror stories mostly.
Listen, last year we went on trick or treating, and there was a family that you could go up and get beer on the way by.
You could get
I was
adult
like,
beverages.
Jeez, you had a choice. You could get a beer or a cocktail, like a cider, spiked cider.
Yeah, it was
and then so
great.
there was like the adults, trick or treat.
In fact,
and then there
Brock-
was the kids trick or treat. I was like, well, this
Yeah.
is the coolest house ever.
In fact, we're not even trick or treating this year. We're just going to park near their house and go up there.
Just hang out for the night.
Just hang out. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, after 4 or 5 houses, you're just gonna sound like
I'll take the Butterfingers. Yeah.
So, did you see this thing on TikTok? It's this. There's the SNAP recipients that are being cut off from here are saying that they're going to be looting on November 1st if they don't
Well, one
figure
of
it
the
out in
things
the
that I
government.
saw, and you must. Oh, a couple of days, I get $3,000 a month, and you get how much?
$3,000.
I saw a lady. She had like 7 kids. She got $3,000 a month in food. I'm like, good lord.
I mean, I guess if you
and
have,
she bought all garbage.
Yeah,
all
that's-
prepackaged garbage.
See, I
Heat
think there
stuff.
should be some limitations on that. Like, you shouldn't be able to buy pop with SNAP benefits.
Or beer.
Or beer.
I don't know if you can anyway,
I
by
don't
the
know.
way.
I don't think you can. But healthy items. No candy. No garbage.
But see, you see what's happening.
But
though.
see, garbage,
the
I
food
guess, is-
industry is fighting back against any restrictions of that stuff. Of course they are, because they don't care about health. They care about bottom line profits, and that's a problem.
I heard a statistic the other day that said if we were to completely remove fluoride from the water sources in America, that we would have a major problem with cavities. Like something like 60% of people would have what's called Mountain Dew mouth.
Yeah, look, I grew up.
60% of people.
Yeah, I look, that's bull.
You think that's bull?
I think that's bull. I grew up in the country. I have all of my teeth, and I have 2 or 3 cavities over the course of my lifetime.
But in fairness, did you grow up drinking a lot of pop?
Not really. Some.
Exactly.
Some. My grandparents would give me Mountain Dew. Then I go home to my mother. It was great. And she loved
I'm
it.
sure she
Anyhow.
appreciated
This
that.
is why we need a podcast. We're just getting started. We're going to have that podcast launching by the end of the year, folks. Me, Ivy, Anthony.
Stay tuned
Brock
for
Allen.
January. That's the goal.
That's the goal. Love you, Ivy.
Love you.
There are not such a thing. Yeah. All right, so here, we're not done with the candy discussion. Ivy discovered an important part of what she was reading. Tell them about black licorice.
So according to kids, if you give black licorice away, you're the psychopath, and your soul must be as dark and bitter as black licorice.
Exactly. Nobody would eat that
At least there's
stuff.
no worry about poison and uneaten candy.
Yeah, because
I'll never get
so
eaten.
when you said that, so when I was a kid, I had this orange plastic pumpkin. It was what I went around and trick or treated with. It was just, I don't know. I had it for years.
Yeah, the little
Right?
one that you carry around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it'd be 3 months after Halloween, and you're sitting there digging through, going, nah, like Bit of Honey's in there, and Dum Dums. It's like, yeah.
I can't tell you how
black
many
licorice.
times I've thrown candy away like a year later, looking at it, going,
Our kids'
it's almost
stuff.
October again. I'm throwing this away.
Exactly. Cause you know,
Same thing, rooting at
well,
all the.
you know what's the things that are not in there: Almond Joy, Butterfinger, Heath bars. Those are not in there. Reese's, they're not in there. I like
Yeah,
Reese's
because
too.
you eat them all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, not me. I can't. Coconut is bad for me, so no Almond Joy, no Mounds.
What's your favorite candy bar, Brock?
Oh my goodness, Snickers, Milky Way.
Oh, you're one of
Reese's
those
Peanut
guys, yeah.
Butter Cups.
What about like Kit Kats?
Oh, that was next on my list.
Love those. Yeah, those aren't making it to the exit.
I like Heath bars. I love
Heath bars are
Heath
great.
Bars.
The charm suckers with the bubble gum in them.
Oh yeah, those are
Of
good.
course, the Tootsie Roll Pops. And did you see Starburst has come out with a pop with Starburst candy in it instead
Really?
of the charms?
That's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
What's your
I've
favorite,
only had
Anthony?
that once.
Mine was Almond Joy.
Almond Joy. There you go. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Classic.
Yeah. Too bad I can't eat that stuff. except
What
for-
about me?
Well, what's your favorite?
I would say Twix.
Twix. That's a good
another
one.
good one.
That's another good one. Yeah, I'll give you that. All right. But I do
What
like
are
the old
those?
school.
What are those like? The Daisy, the little Dixie cakes. Like the ones that come in the plastic and.
You get those at Halloween? The little.
I used to, yeah.
She lived in a high rent neighborhood, apparently.
Yeah, you getting like Little Debbie snack cake.
Yeah, exactly. Those are a winner. All right, that's it. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. That's Ivy. Remember, together we can save this country. Work harder, be better, be careful at Halloween, be nice to the little children in the neighborhood. We'll talk soon.